Alright, this is my first attempt at doing a video, not on my phone. YouTube changed the settings so I can't do videos. It did that when I was doing recordings during the freeze. Hello, my name is James Nickens. I'm retired CW4. You can Google me, Convoy Commander James Nickens, CW3, Iraq, 2004. You can pull up an article. So, I retired in 2012. I have had a severe case of, like, there's something fucked up coming. My videos probably won't be rated for children because I will curse periodically. It's in my nature. I will try not to do that too often, but it's hard to describe that feeling. It's like my hair has been standing up on the back of my neck. So a little about me. I'm here in San Antonio now because I retired and came home to take care of my dad. He's older. He's going to be 86 this year, and sometime in the not too distant future he will be moving in with me and my wife. I've got some list of things that I got to get done before we're going to be ready for that, and I hope to get it done before it needs to happen. I'm a third generation service member. My grandfather was in World War II, POW, Purple Heart and Bronze Star awardee. I used to think I was the most decorated person in my family, but my grandfather beat me with the Purple Heart. My dad's retired E7 from the Air Force, and I'm a retired CW4. I went to Iraq twice. I went to Korea twice. Been in North Korea. Been to Europe twice as a soldier all over the U.S. Fort Hood, Fort Rucker. Those of you who don't know, Rucker is in Alabama. Fort Hood's in Texas. Washington State, Fort Lewis twice. And for a brief period at Fort Huachuca in Arizona. Sierra Vista area. So, been across the Atlantic and Pacific 20 times each. Thailand, Japan, Guam. Put my feet in almost every state in the U.S., including Hawaii and Alaska. I think there's one in the U.S. that I haven't put my feet in. I think it's Minnesota. It's just one of those states that I haven't been through. So let's get to this prepping thing. I am going to try and join the prepper community as a content provider. My intent right now is not to ever go live, but to provide videos about things that I'm not seeing. And I've been steadily watching prepping videos since basically the pandemic started. Two combat tours to Iraq. First time I was with 3-2 Striker Brigade out of Fort Lewis. Went into Samar for about 30 days, and then spent the rest of my time in Mosul. 14 combat missions as a convoy commander. Never got shot at, and my combat action badge was earned from indirect fire, which was almost daily, multiple times a day in Mosul. Second time I went to Iraq was with 1st Cav Infantry, 1st Cavalry Division out of Fort Hood, and I was mostly a FOBIT at that time. So I was one of those guys that didn't leave the compound. Could have, but I was no interest in being a war hero. You know, a lot of those folks sadly didn't make it home. Let's talk about living in an austere environment. Most people, sorry, I'm sweating, it's hot, don't know how to live without electricity or the conveniences. So, both times I was in Iraq, the second time we had porcelain available, the first time not so much. So we used outhouses and on occasion something else. So, I'm talking about that because if you don't know how to live in an austere environment where there's no running water, where there's no toiletry facilities, you know, staying clean is going to be a challenge. So I plan to do videos covering all the things that I think you need to talk about. They talk about them on all the prepper channels. I'm going to do a quick shout out: Gray Man Prepping, Prepper Nurse 1, Alaska Prepper, Canadian Prepper, Rolling Homestead, I think. Those are the ones that I watch the most of. Also Pinball Preparedness. So, it's a great source of information. I've learned a lot of things. I've also been participating in some of the chats. So this is going to lead into something that you need to ask yourself. And I'm going to ask that question after I give you a recommended book. It's a 3-book series. It's called 1 Second After. It depicts the U.S. and tells a story about a retired Army colonel and how awful life will be. So one of the biggest and I recommend you look at that book, not because I want to scare you or want to make you oh my God. You need to understand when the prepping channels are talking about the absence of rule of law and all these other things about how bad it's going to be. So I think one of the big questions that you need to ask yourself is, do you want to survive? And in my case, it's something I struggle with all the time because I still don't know. That answer is yes. And because I haven't said no, I am deep into prepping. When I get done doing this part of the video, I'm going to take you on a short tour of where I live to show you the things that I've worked towards. I have things that I've been wanting to do we've been here 8 years, and I've been wanting to do since year 1 that haven't gotten done because other things have gotten in the way. Either I have plenty of money and no time, or plenty of time and not enough money. I am working towards one of the goals that Alaska Prepper talks about, getting debt-free. It's going to take me 3 years. And then I'll be left with probably 2 car payments and a mortgage. So that's something that I highly recommend everybody work towards. And it's very hard to do that and do prepping. So the big thing is when you start down this path, and you kind of look and you go, holy crap, how am I going to get it all done? And I will tell you that if you're not careful, it can depress you because you're going to be like, wow, I'm not ready. I need this, I need that. And so all I can tell you is Nurse Prepper 1 does a good job when saying, you can't get it all done in a day. And, even if you have a pile of money, it's not just about the money, because, if you've looked at any of these prepping channels for any amount of time, they're going to say it's not about buying gear. It's about buying gear and knowing how to use it, which is one of the things I am going to try and do. So one of the very first ones I'm going to do is backup power generation. I'm going to show you everything that I have. And I'm going to basically give you a quick class on how you can do it, but there are requirements that you have to know about and honor, otherwise you can get into trouble. So, and then I'm going to do one on how I package some things in my bug out bag. So there's a lot. I mean, it's the sheer amount of stuff that you do, and you start thinking about it, and you start out like, oh, this is not so bad. Then you start getting into, one of the things I struggle with right now is I'm assessing how much food that I eat that I buy prepackaged. I love Fig Newtons, I love Reese's Buttercups, and I love M&Ms. I am not going to be able to reproduce any of those, to my knowledge, unless I survive long enough and run across someone who knows how to do it. So, as a society, we've gotten away from being self-sufficient, and it's not a bad thing, but when you put your livelihood, your ability to be successful in the hands of someone else, then you've lost a freedom. So right now I'm sitting in front of an old truck that I'm working on. That is a prep that we got about 6 years ago, and we kept it in Washington State for a few years, and then we brought it down here 2 years ago. because it was getting neglected. They weren't being bad to the truck on purpose. It wasn't there, so it wasn't a priority. So now it's here. It didn't cost us anything, but we got 10 to 12 grand in it over 5 years. We just had the motor rebuilt because we lost an end cap on a rod and it broke the timing chain. Been a push rod and messed up some stuff. So it's back. I've been working on it for about 2 months now on this side of it. The first part of it was pulling the motor and finding a shop to get it rebuilt at. Hopefully by my wife's birthday in August I will have it running again finally. So great thing about old trucks is they don't die unless you have a wreck that twists the frame. This is also one of the things when I was on Gray Man Prepping, and he had Dr. Bradley, I believe is his name, on CME and EMT, or not EMTs, EMPs, electromagnetic pulses. The older you have a vehicle that has more mechanical stuff, the better chances are of it surviving. So that's the first thing. So we're going to do a quick tour. You're going to have to bear with me because the camera's going to jump around. I'm going to turn you around. So this is my future shop. This section of the building is going to be 2-story. Then I have a left and a right that's going to become storage and single story. That's one of the long things. There's my grill. There's another grill. Moving stuff around because of issues at the house. There's the one side. I have motorcycles. There's the old truck. So we live on over half an acre, under an acre lot in the country across from a lake. So going into the backyard to talk about a couple things, and then we'll go to the front and go back to where I was sitting and we'll wrap it up. Eventually this is going to be enclosed, this back porch area. The intent is to put my dad in this room, which is currently the master bedroom, so that he can come in and out without going up and down stairs. He's old and crotchety and wiggly and wobbly, and he might fall. So this is the second year of my gardening, and this right now is overgrown. I had something that came up that kept me really busy for 2 months, so I've not let it die, but I've neglected it, and soon I'll be in there with a hoe getting rid of all that growth that's not supposed to be there. This is a solar array that I turned the bottom part into a chicken run, and there's a chicken coop, and I have 11 chickens out of 17 or 18 that I've managed to keep alive. I had a snake get in there and get one. I had one. Well, let's just say this. It's a severe challenge to start doing something you haven't done before. So I'm hoping that by the fall, latest December, I will start getting chicken eggs. So my wife says we have 4 roosters and 7 hens. And then we have the big rooster over there that he flew over the fence and hasn't left, so I'm not exactly sure who he belongs to. So I get roughly, on a partly cloudy day, 2,500 watts of power off of my solar array. It's 25 panels. So I am not disconnected from the grid, which is something I want to do. This is the back of the house. It needs work. The whole house needs work, but that's life. I selected this house on purpose because it was across the street from the lake. You're gonna have to bear with me on the not seeing me, and hopefully you can hear me. I will actually look at this video when I'm done. So, it's a pile of rock that I got to get rid of, and I'm waiting because when I do the construction on the house, on the shop, I'm gonna have a bunch more, and then I'll have them drop a dumpster and fill it up, and they'll haul it away. So my property is fully fenced. and under Texas law, if it's properly marked, unless they're serving a no-knock warrant, all the business has to be done at the gate. So, and there are different rules in different states. So this is what I've been working on pretty steadily for the last week, like non-stop. This is going to be my future emergency power generation hut. So generators cannot sit in the rain, so you need them in at least covered. I will be enclosing this on 4 sides with an opening for a door, and probably something that I can cover it with, but haven't decided that yet. The sides are rails and poles are in, and then the roof is on. So my goal is to get a 250-gallon propane tank that will go here. I'm waiting to do any digging of holes and all that until I actually get the tank, because I don't want to dig the holes in the area not be big enough, and the propane tank will be covered. So there's the other side of the house. Again, fully fenced. I have an old above ground pool that came with the house, but we didn't take care of it. So we have bug lights. This is firewood right here. That's what's left over after 2.5 cords after last winter. So I have a generator already that will go in that power generation shed. I also bought a Century Fuel System conversion or adapter kit to convert the generator to liquid propane and or natural gas, and still allow me to use fuel. So the goal is to do the adapter kit on the generator I have, and test it with a 5-gallon propane tank to make sure it will run, work out all the bugs on that before I invest the $2,700 on the, yes, my shop is a mess. I'm very busy, and then I'm full-time retired. Hopefully you can still see me. So for like the last 5 months, the chickens have been an addition. The first 5